go ahead and get started. So, hello, Titans. Thank you for joining us today for our Let's Get Fresh with CalFresh presentation and live application demo. So, I'm your host, Lupe Tinaco Oliveros. I am the Programming Graduate Assistant for Tuffy's Basic Needs. And today we are joined by a special guest who will lead us through our presentation and we'll have time to answer questions at the end of the presentation and also at the end of the live demonstration. You are able to submit questions into the chat at any time during those presentations or ask for any type of clarification. They will be anonymous if you send them to Tuffy's Basic Needs Services directly in the chat. Also, before we get started, we want to let you know that this is being recorded and it's going to be posted onto our YouTube channel and our website in about weeks' time. Also, we kindly ask you to keep yourself muted throughout this presentation. So without further ado, I will now hand it over to our guests today to introduce themselves and to begin our presentation.
Hey everyone, like Lupe said, thank you so much for joining us at our Let's Get Fresh with CalFresh presentation. My name is Jared Ventura, and I serve as the CalFresh Outreach and Enrollment Graduate Assistant here at Tuffy's Basic Needs. So my contact information will be at the end of the presentation in case you have any specific questions about this presentation or need further virtual assistance regarding any of our other services. So thanks for joining us today. So just a little note about our hours of operation for fall 2020. We are providing virtual assistance to students, and we will continue to meet with students and provide services. And our email will be checked regularly during business hours, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So please don't hesitate to contact us regarding any questions. And you can also fill out a basic needs services request form, which we'll show you how to do later in this presentation. So a little bit of our agenda today and what we're going over. So we're going to have a CalFresh overview, which will cover income requirements, expenses, mixed status households, interview with the Orange County Social Services. And throughout the presentation, I will be saying Orange County Social Services since Cal State Fullerton is in Orange County. But please keep in mind that even if you live in a different county in California, I'm still able to help you step by step with our CalFresh application virtual assistants, regardless of what county you live in. And then we're going to be doing our CalFresh application demonstration, and then we'll have resource links and contact information at the very end. So we're actually going to start off with a Zoom poll. So our question today is, what is CalFresh? And then we have a few options there: food stamps, supplemental nutrition assistance program, SNAP, aid to purchase healthy foods and groceries, or D, all of the above. So I'll just give you all a few seconds to fill that out. And then once everyone fills that out, we'll share the results. So I see all of the answers marked. And so, yes, that's correct. CalFresh is food stamps, part of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. California just likes to call it CalFresh. And then it is also aid to purchase healthy foods and groceries. So thank you all for participating in that. So what is CalFresh? CalFresh is a program that provides assistance to low-income households by assisting them in purchasing healthy and fresh foods. Sounds familiar from our just previous Zoom poll. It is previously known as food stamps and nationally known as SNAP. And then CalFresh benefits are approved amounts through an EBT card. So back in the day, they were actually physical stamps, but it's a lot easier now because it works like a debit card. And then Orange County Social Services Agency, OCSSA, determines eligibility for individuals and or households. And same thing too, like I mentioned earlier, whichever county you're in, that is the social services agency that will determine your eligibility for CalFresh. So where is CalFresh accepted? It's accepted at the Orange County Farmers Market, Walmart, Amazon, Target. I'm actually not going to read through the whole list, but Walmart and Amazon are two participating retailers that accept EBT purchases online. The only thing to note with online purchases is that you cannot use your CalFresh benefits or EBT card to pay for shipping. So you'll be able to use it to pay for online order of groceries, but not for shipping costs. So now we're going to show you the SNAP Retailer Locator, which is a very handy resource that I like to use. And with this retailer locator, you have the option to, on the right-hand side where it says find address or place, excuse me, we can search by city. And then at the bottom, it says show results within 5 miles. So you can search from 0 to 25 miles. But if you don't like to drive too far like me, we'll keep it within 5 miles. So I can show you an example of the city of Fullerton. So we can type in Fullerton, California. And then go ahead and click that option. And then store locations will pop up. So if we go ahead and click on one of those options there, like San Marcos Market, so it gives you the address, the county that it's in, and approximately how far away it is. And then you can also search by zip code, which will give you a little bit more of a clearer and more narrow search. So we can try a zip code near CSUF. We can try 92831. And see there, you can see some other options as well, like where the mouse is currently at, where it says 7-Eleven. Just keep in mind that 7-Eleven does sell other products, but you are only able to purchase food and groceries with your EBT card. So with 7-Eleven, you can't buy gas with the EBT card or vitamins or things like that. So we're gonna try another zip code. In case you live outside of Orange County, we can try 92501, which is a Riverside zip code. So there again, we have within that 5-mile radius, and then we also have all of those options as well down below. So we're gonna try one last zip code. We can try 91607, and this is in LA County. So we'll wait for that to load. And then again, there are the list of places that accept your CalFresh benefits. And this SNAP retailer locator works with any location. So like I said earlier, just as an additional note, you can see Rite Aid at the bottom. You know, please keep in mind that you are only able to purchase food with your EBT card. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So I want to give a little plug to the Orange County Farmers Market Match program. So when using CalFresh benefits at the OC Farmers Market, you will receive vouchers and tokens to spend at the market. So say, for example, you want to spend $20 of your CalFresh benefits at the market, you can let them know, hey, I want to spend $20 of my CalFresh benefits with y'all. They will give you $20 worth of your EBT benefits in the form of tokens and vouchers. And so you're able to spend your EBT benefits on fresh fruits and vegetables that are locally grown here in Orange County. So a little bit about CalFresh eligibility for students. So this is how CalFresh defines students as between ages 18 to 49, enrolled at least half-time or more in an institution of higher education. And so full-time is up to 12 units and part-time is up to 10 units, and then up to 8 units for graduate students. Excuse me. Please keep in mind that Orange County Social Services does adhere to the student age limit, but those outside of the age limit may be able to qualify with other income criteria. So a little bit about CalFresh eligibility for students. So students must meet at least one of the following. I know when this slide is shown to students, excuse me, when the slide is shown to students that they're like, I have to meet all of these requirements. No, you don't. You only have to meet at least one of them. So working at least 20 hours a week, enrolled in receiving work study or have intentions to work, a primary caretaker of a child 12 or younger, Cal Grant A or B recipient with your CSAC CalFresh letter. So that is the California Student Aid Commission. And in that letter, they will tell you you might be eligible for CalFresh within that letter, within the introduction. An educational opportunity program student, so an EOP student, disability support services, DSS, McNair Scholars Program, Guardian Scholar Program, and also the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Excuse me. So who is eligible for CalFresh? Individuals that are eligible are US citizens, permanent residents, refugees, and asylees, U or T visa holders, and individuals that are ineligible are undocumented individuals, immigrants with temporary visas, fleeing felons, and students who don't meet the student eligibility criteria. So requesting virtual application assistant. So first you'll submit a basic needs services request form, and we'll show you how to do that on the next slide. And then after that, a staff member will reach out to schedule a meeting, and then you'll have a pre-screening for CalFresh eligibility. So what that consists of is usually just a set of questions that a staff member may ask you regarding programs that you qualify for that we've seen on the two previous slides, such as being Guardian Scholar, EOP student, disability support services, things like that. And then step 4 is you'll have virtual application assistance for CalFresh. So you'll meet with myself, which I highly recommend because we walk through the application step by step, and I'm able to answer any questions about your specific circumstance. Because the CalFresh application can be a little lengthy, and they do ask for a lot of information. So I am here to help you as a resource. And then together we can submit your CalFresh application. So now we're going to show you how to fill out our Tuffy's Basic Needs Services request form. And then once that loads, we'll go ahead and show you. So on our Dean of Students website, it says, welcome to the office of the Dean of Students. On the right-hand side, where it says Basic Needs Services Request, we can go ahead and click there. And so at the top of the form, there is a little bit of an eligibility information. So for example, you must be a currently enrolled and matriculated Cal State Fullerton student to use Tuffy's Basic Needs. So if we scroll down a little bit more, we have student information. So we ask for your name, CWID phone number, email address, and also there's some check boxes there where it says, what type of basic needs assistance are you seeking? So there's food, financial, and temporary housing. If you are only requesting CalFresh virtual application assistance, you can go ahead and click food. But if you are looking for food and financial, so say for example, CalFresh and financial assistance, go ahead and click the boxes that apply to you. So just for CalFresh purposes, where it says describe in detail your current unforeseen crisis or situation, you can type in something along the lines of seeking to submit a CalFresh application and requesting virtual application assistance. And so you can fill out all of the other questions. And if we scroll down just a little bit, there are some other questions such as like, do you utilize services from any of the following on-campus programs? So the student eligibility requirements, again, from a few slides ago, such as Guardian Scholars, Disability Support Services, EOP, those are, some of those are eligibility requirements. So fill this form out to the best of your ability. And then where it says, what outcome do you seek? You can also put, again, seeking CalFresh virtual application assistance in hopes to having a completely and fully submitted CalFresh application. So you can kind of restate again that you are seeking CalFresh benefits. So, a little bit of two reminders that I have for CalFresh applications is that students under 22 years old and live with their parents must apply with their entire household. And then married couples living together must apply together, even if they are in the process of divorce. So, this is the CalFresh application process as a whole. So, if you remember step 5 of submitting a basic needs services request form, we ended off with submitting your CalFresh application. So step 1 here is completing your application. Again, one-on-one virtual application assistance, or the application can be completed individually. Again, I highly recommend if you do need assistance that you meet with myself, so I can help you answer those step-by-step questions, and I can also give you a few tips on your CalFresh application as well. So then the second step, you'll have your interview with Orange County Social Services. Primarily, they are being done by phone call due to COVID-19. And then at that meeting, they will tell you to submit any additional verifications or documents. And then step 4, your EBT card will be mailed. And then step 5, you can start using your CalFresh benefits, which is always the fun part. So a little note on gross monthly income. So gross monthly income for the CalFresh application is the income amount before taxes. And then another note on income is that most households must have a total gross monthly income less than or equal to 200% of the federal poverty level. So I know that may sound a little bit confusing, but what this means is that if the income requirements are changing each year. So I do see a question regarding if you don't reside in Orange County. So if you don't reside in Orange County, like I said earlier, I am still able to help you as long as you live in the state of California. So I can still help you because the application is pretty much the same. But for this presentation, I am using Orange County Social Services as an example. But back to my point on the note about income. The income requirements for CalFresh are changing every year. So this PowerPoint presentation is going to include the most up-to-date information on that on the next slide. So like it says in the top right-hand corner, October 1st through September 30th, 2021. So they just updated these income requirements about 2 weeks ago based on that 200% of the federal poverty line. So say, for example, you have a household of 1, the maximum gross monthly income or the amount that you can make is $2,128. So if you make over that income amount, then you are most likely not eligible for CalFresh. And so the maximum CalFresh allotment that you can receive is $204. So if I hop down just a little bit to a household size of 3, the maximum gross monthly income that those 3 household members can have is $3,620. So the maximum CalFresh allotment or CalFresh benefits that you would receive is $535. Same thing with the household size of 4. 4,368. The maximum CalFresh allotment is 680. And then if you have a household size larger than 4, you can email me because again, my contact information will be at the end of this presentation. I have a document that I can send you as well with information about larger household sizes. So what counts as income? So income is usually considered for CalFresh or by the county is as paychecks, Social Security, supplemental security income, disability income, pension, cash assistance, CalWorks, unemployment, certain veteran benefits, and child support. What does not count as income is financial aid, military income, combat pay, loans, non-recurring lump sum payments. And the reason that on the right-hand side where financial aid or loans don't count as income, it's because they're not a consistent form of income that is as steady as like a paycheck that you receive biweekly, right? Or a paycheck that you receive once a month. So usually income is considered as more constant flow of cash or income, like paychecks, Social Security. Those usually come like I said, again, bi-weekly, once a month, things like that that are more consistent. So what counts as an expense? So again, this is set by the county. So this is the same for all counties in California, but rent, utilities, cell phone and house phone, childcare, child support, medical expenses if you're 60 or older. Unfortunately, these do not count as an expense. So cable or streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. So sorry, I love watching Netflix, but there's a big red X on them for not counting as an expense. Car payments and car insurance, Wi-Fi and internet, tuition and student loans, and also credit card payments do not count as an expense. So just a little note, CalFresh defines a household as an individual or group that purchase and prepare food together. So say, for example, you live with 3 roommates. If you are the only one purchasing food for yourself and sharing food with yourself, you would be a household of 1. So I know I get this question a lot where it's like, I live with roommates. I have 3 of them. But I'm like, if you are the only one purchasing food and groceries for yourself, then you're a household of 1. But say, for example, if you were to share and prepare food with those 3 roommates, then your household size would be 4, including yourself. So that's just a little note for household and household size for college students. And then just a little bit of a short reminder, lawful permanent residents or green card holders are eligible for CalFresh. If they're currently in the process of applying for their green card, they are not eligible. So they must have their green card in order to apply for CalFresh. So a little bit of information on mixed status households. At least one person in the household must be a US citizen or legal permanent resident. So one thing that I like to add with this is that unfortunately international students are not eligible for CalFresh, especially if they're not a US citizen. And then a little information on prorated income. Social services will only take into account the income proportional to the number of eligible members in the household. So on the next slide, we're going to go over an example of that because I know that wording can be a little bit confusing. So say, for example, you have a household of 3, you have 2 parents, and both parents are undocumented, but one child is a citizen. Information of the non-citizen parents are required and immigration status is not shared with immigration authorities. So any of the information that you put on your CalFresh application, it is not shared with ICE or immigration authorities. So your household receive CalFresh benefits based on the child who is a US citizen. So in this case, even though it's a household of 3, the county would probably consider this as a household of 1 due to the child being the only one on the application who is a US citizen. So the parents can submit the application on behalf of their child, especially if their child is 18 years or younger. But if the child is older than 18, they can submit the application and include their family members. But again, it's still considered a household size of 1 because the child is a US citizen. So another example is a household of 5. So parents are undocumented, but they have 3 children that are citizens. So the household will receive CalFresh benefits based on the 3 children that are US citizens. And then also a partial amount of the parent's income will count towards their income limit. So what that means is that they'll now be considered a household size of 3. And then social services will look at the parent's income and base part of the parent's income towards the income requirement for CalFresh. So hopefully that clarifies that. And then a little bit of information on the interview with Orange County Social Service. So again, if you live in a different county, these rules still apply to you. But for this presentation, I'm just sticking with Orange County Social Services. So most important rule, answer the phone. Social services will call up to 3 times. Most caseworkers do not leave voicemail. So if you miss the call, the caseworker will wait for the student to call them back. So the call is usually from a private or blocked number, so be sure to answer. So if you know that you just recently submitted your CalFresh application, say on Monday, and then you're getting a call on maybe like Friday or even the next week from a blocked or private number, be sure to answer it. I know it can be uncomfortable, but be sure to pick up the phone because that may be your caseworker calling to do your phone interview. And later in the demonstration, in this presentation, we will be going through the entire CalFresh application, but in the CalFresh application, they do ask you what times and days are you available. And so if you put like I'm available Monday and Wednesday from 8 to 12, then they'll most likely call within that time. So you can kind of expect when they're going to call you. So be sure to pick up that phone, even if it's from a private or blocked number. Also, number two, check your mail. So you will receive your case number, assigned caseworker, and caseworker's phone number through the mail about a week after the application. So you will receive your EBT card and your PIN number for your CalFresh card in the mail. So be sure to check your mail frequently. And then also, again, just a short little reminder, respond to follow-up messages. Like I said earlier, after your phone interview, they may ask a little bit more information regarding student eligibility requirements or proof of or verification. So if they do ask you to, hey, submit an additional pay stub, we need a little bit more information on your income, then go ahead and submit your pay stub. So advocate for yourself if the caseworker is not familiar with the student exemption. So if you feel that maybe during your phone interview that they're saying like you may not be eligible for CalFresh, and it's like sometimes caseworkers may not be as familiar with student exemptions or student eligibility requirements. So sometimes you may need to advocate for yourself. Because say for example like if you're an EOP student and they're saying oh I'm like that's not an eligibility requirement, you can always tell them like no, I know I can apply for CalFresh because I am an EOP student. So again, just advocate for yourself if they're not familiar with those student exemptions. Most of the time they're pretty good, but can't hurt to add that in there. So, what happens if you miss the interview? If the caseworker doesn't get back to you within 2 days, call the social services helpline. And there's that phone number there for you to call. Again, like Lupe said at the beginning, that this presentation is being recorded, so you will have access to these slides. And every website that we're showing you here today will also be in the description box down below in the YouTube video. So do your best to complete the interview before the 30-day deadline. So like I said earlier and have been reiterating throughout, if they call you from a private or blocked number and you think it's the social services, try calling them back because the longer that you wait, the more delayed your CalFresh benefits may be, and we want to get everyone connected as soon as possible. So if clients attempt to contact their caseworker, another 30 days may be added onto the case, which, like I said, we don't want that. We want you to get your CalFresh benefits as soon as possible. So try to submit that documentation when you can. So a little bit of information. I often receive questions from students on CalFresh expedited benefits. And so students must meet one of the following. They don't have to meet all of them, but have a combined gross monthly income, which means the income before taxes of households is less than 150. So if you make less than 150 in cash and you have less than $100 in checking and savings account, including liquid resources. So like it says, if you make less than 150 and you have less than 100, then you're qualified for CalFresh expedited benefits. And so what expedited benefits means is that the county looks at your application within 3 to 5 business days. So it's a little bit faster of a turnaround time just because they know that you might need those benefits more quickly. Total cost of expenses is greater than their income. So say, for example, you make $1,300 a month and then, your rent, food, water, cell phone, utilities is $1,500. So there's a $200 difference there. So That's an example of where your total cost of expenses is greater than your income. And so in that case, you would be eligible for expedited benefits. And also the third one is that if there's a seasonal worker in the household, and the reason for that is that due to their seasonal status, they may not have a job beyond in usually seasonal cases, so beyond the holidays and things like that. So reporting changes on your CalFresh application, report decreases in income immediately, and then report increase if you are above the income reporting threshold. So that income reporting threshold is that chart that I showed earlier in the presentation. So if you say, for example, you pick up a second or third job and that pushes you above the reporting threshold. So I remember for a household size of one, if you are over like $2,128, then you would need to report that immediately. Same thing with expenses, report an increase or decrease immediately as well, because say if you have increased expenses, you may be eligible for more CalFresh benefits per month. Depending on your circumstances. Like I said, this is a case by case basis and everybody has different circumstances. So address and phone number change too. Like I said, again, report immediately just because, like I said earlier, your EBT card and your PIN number will be mailed to you, what I like to call snail mail. So, you want to be able to have access to your CalFresh card and your CalFresh PIN code. So you also need to report to if you do not plan to return to the county, if immigration status changes and or if there are changes to student work and exemption status. So sometimes students may be eligible for federal work study, which is a student eligibility requirement. And say within the next academic year, that was your only eligibility requirement and you now don't receive work study, you would need to tell the county, hey, I currently don't receive federal work study anymore. So just report any changes as soon as you can. So some CalFresh myths and facts. I like to do a little bit of debunking. So I know one of the myths is that you can only buy certain types of food with CalFresh benefits. So in contrast, the CalFresh fact is you can only use CalFresh to buy food items. So you cannot purchase pet food, soaps, vitamins, paper products, and cigarettes. Again, like I said earlier, you can only use your CalFresh benefits to purchase food, and it does not apply to shipping costs either. So our second myth is I applied for CalFresh in the past and did not qualify. I cannot apply again. I always encourage students, even if you have applied in the past, like apply again because there may have been changes in your circumstances and reapply if you are in need. Like I said, the income requirements do change every year. So maybe you may be eligible based on the new income requirements from year to year, as long as you have one of those student eligibility criteria as well. So like I said earlier, and I like to reiterate, a CalFresh myth is that immigration authorities check the CalFresh records. And so the CalFresh fact to contrast that is CalFresh client records cannot be checked or shared with immigration authorities. So like I said, the CalFresh office does not report anything to ICE. It is the social service. So they are not required to report anything to immigration authorities. So we're going to do another Zoom poll. So with our Let's Get Fresh with CalFresh presentation, we will be jumping into the demo shortly. But for future CalFresh presentations, we want to know what other information y'all would like to know about CalFresh. So this can be information on income, student eligibility, application process, the interview with the county, where benefits can be used or other. If you would like to see more detail about these topics in the future, please let us know. And then if you do decide to click other, please send that feedback in the chat box to Tuffy's Basic Needs. And again, this serves as a short reminder that if you do have any questions, please submit them directly to Tuffy's Basic Needs so that your question be kept can be kept private. So I'll give you all a few more seconds to fill out that Zoom poll. And then for this one, we will not be sharing the results. So thank you all for filling out that Zoom poll. So now we're just going to take about a minute break, and then we're going to go ahead and start with the CalFresh application demonstration. So if you need to get up, get some water, take a break, go ahead and do that. And then we'll start here again in a minute or so, just in case others may be joining at this time. So this is a demo website. So at the top, it says demo.getcalfresh.org. And so we're going to go ahead and click apply now. And so there's a little bit of information here on how CalFresh works. So where it says submit proof of your situation, what proof to submit, we can go ahead and click on that just to see what documents are usually required to get CalFresh. So they're going to ask for a copy of your ID, any government issued ID, proof of any income, proof of immigration status, proof of student status. And so at the end of the application, we'll also review these again, but they're also going to ask you for your financial aid award letter and also a copy of your class schedule. It says these documents are optional, but can increase your benefit amount. So proof of housing expenses, child support paid, etc. So we can go ahead and scroll down a little bit more, and then we can go ahead and get started. So it just asks for some basic information. So we'll continue. And so for this example today, we're going to say that for this demonstration, we're going to do one student who is 21 years old. They do not live with their parents. They live in off-campus housing and works 2 jobs and is below the income limit and is also a Cal Grant A recipient and an EOP student. So the reason that I say that is that this is an example. Of course, each person will, sorry, I see that pasting the link in the chat. This will also be available at the end of the presentation as well. But you can kind of anticipate with this website what questions they will ask you. So again, each person's circumstances is different. And so we'll go ahead and get started. So the zip code for this example, we're going to do 92831, which is the zip code near Cal State Fullerton. And so, like I said, the student lives by themselves, so just me. And then have you applied for CalFresh in the last year or so? The reason they ask you this is to see if you have another application on file. So we're going to go ahead and click no. And then this is just a reminder that we are doing a demonstration. So we'll go ahead and continue. Then just making sure that you're in the right county. So sounds good for Orange County. And then special cases, we'll go ahead and continue. So ask, do you get supplemental security income? We'll go ahead and click no. And since we are a 21-year-old student in this example, we're going to go ahead and click no again. So is everyone in the application a US citizen? For this example, yes. Are you a college student? Yes, we are. So these should look pretty familiar from just a few minutes ago. Like I said, the student is a Cal Grant A recipient. So I received Cal Grant A or B, but you can see all the other eligibility requirements there. So we also said that this student is an EOP student. So we'll go ahead and click that. And then one thing I like to highlight too, where it says see programs that qualify you for CalFresh. Those are a little bit of the other qualifying programs that we covered earlier, such as UC McNair. There's Guardian Scholars on there, EOP, EOPS, DSPS, or Disability Support Services at Cal State Fullerton. So I just wanted to highlight that. And so we can click on no, I don't live in on-campus housing, and no, we do not live with our parents. And then continue. So now we can check to see if they meet the income requirements. So we do have a job. And then we do not do freelance work, but if this applies to you, you would click yes. But for our student example, we're going to click no. And have you lost a job in the last 30 days? No. And then if you're confused at any point through this demonstration, like I said, you can go ahead and submit your questions to Tuffy's Basic Needs privately. And then also, like I said, this is an opportunity for you to ask questions or also meet with me for CalFresh Virtual Application Assistance. I know that this application can be a little confusing. So again, I am a resource here to help you out. So like I said earlier, the student has 2 jobs, but they are still below the income limit. So, and then in the last 30 days, how much money did you get before taxes? We can go ahead and say 1,800. And then this question is just asking, do you think you'll make less money than 1,800 in the coming months? So say if your hours were cut, there's maybe less hours at your job available. You can put that information here, but for this, we'll go ahead and click no. And then do you get money from any other sources? So if we remember, these do count as income, but for this example, we're going to click no again. And then we're going to click no on court-ordered child support. And then how much money do you have on hand? Again, this question is getting at CalFresh expedited benefits. So for here, we're going to go ahead and put $400 that the student has on hand right now in their checking account. And then they're just going to ask you to review to make sure you put the correct answers. So this looks correct. Then it tells you you may be likely eligible for CalFresh, which is great. So we'll go ahead and keep moving forward. And then now this comes to the expenses and deductions portion of the demonstration. So how much money do you pay in rent and mortgage every month? And please keep in mind that when answering these questions, they will ask for proof of documentation. So if you're not sure, I would recommend try to locate those documents first before filling out the CalFresh application. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and put $1,000. We know California is a little bit expensive with housing. So continue. And then, so do you pay for any utilities? So we can go ahead and click on cell phone, heating, cooling, and water as bills that we pay for as well. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. And then do you pay for child or dependent care? We would click no. And then they're asking you to review once more just to make sure that you pay $1,000 per month in rent, and also you pay for heating, cooling, water, and cell phone or landline. So great, they looked at our expenses to help us get the largest benefit amount. And then we can go ahead and click continue. So then they're just going to ask you about your personal contact information. So for our first name, we're going to put Tuffy. And then our last name is Titan. And so since, like I said, this is a 21-year-old student, we can say that their birthday is coming up. We could say 10/23/1999. And then we can click on mail for the student. And then they'll ask for your social security number. So if you don't have one, that's okay. You can leave the option blank. It is not required, but if you do have it, it will be beneficial for your CalFresh caseworker. So for our social security number, we can go ahead and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't want anybody's social security number out there. And then our phone number, we can go ahead and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And then type your phone number again, because the reason that they ask for your phone number twice is to make sure that they're calling the right number. And then our email address will be tuffytitan@csufullerton.edu. And I purposely left out the dot just because this is a demonstration. So they ask what language you prefer. For this example, we can click English, but if you do prefer another language, those options are there. And so what is your current living situation? So we did indicate that we pay $1,000 in rent, so we rent our own. And then what is the name of your school? So what I always tell students is to type out the full name of the school. So California State University, Fullerton. And so current address, we can go ahead and put 1234 Livingsdale Street. And then we can put apartment number 8 afterwards. So I always tell students, please, if you live in an apartment, please put the apartment number, because they will not be able to locate your apartment, and therefore you may miss your CalFresh benefits card or your PIN code as well. So be sure to put your apartment number or anything like that. And so it is the city of Fullerton, and then our zip code is 92831 again. And so they ask, is this the next best address for the next 3 months? So the reason that they ask this is that if you're anticipating moving, you're able to put a different address down. But for this, we'll put yes, send mail there. And so they're going to ask about information about your household. It should already be pre-clicked for you, but they're just making sure, like those CalFresh application reminders I had earlier in the presentation, such as if you're married and living with your spouse, you need to include them. If you are 22 and live with your parents, you need to include them. But if you're over 18 and not living with your parents, you can apply on your own. So that's just a little reminder again. And then these are the time preferences, like I was mentioning earlier. So we can put Monday and Wednesday. We can say we have afternoon classes. So we're available in the morning from 8 to 12, 8-12. And then we can say Friday all day. Now, when we click continue, it's going to tell us that dashes aren't accepted. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put the word to, T-O, and then that should work. And then this is all based on personal preference, but I do recommend students, if they don't want to receive a lot of texts, sign up for email. And then they're just verifying your email address once again. So we're asked, do you want to designate someone to help you with your CalFresh benefits? Most of the time when I'm working with students, the answer to this is no, because those who are 60 and older, they usually have someone, maybe a caretaker or someone who comes to their house and gets them their groceries as well. But this question is getting at that, where someone else can spend their CalFresh benefits for you, but we're going to click no for that, because most students don't do that. And so what I usually have students do here, which I think is really helpful for the caseworker, is I would retype your student eligibility requirements. So we can say, I am a full-time student at California State University, Fullerton. So we're going to type out the entire name of the school. And then we can put a period. And then also I receive Cal Grant A. And am an EOP student. So I just like to have students again repeat their student eligibility requirements so that the caseworker can review. And then this is just the legal stuff like it says. You're verifying that you've been honest on the application, that you did not lie about anything. And it also has another reminder again that CalFresh, applying for CalFresh will not affect your immigration status. And so you can type your full legal name. So we're going to type Tuffy Titan here and then sign and submit. So most of the time students may exit out of the application after signing and submitting, but we're not done yet. So they're going to ask if any of these situations apply to you, and your answer should already be checked for you. So see, going to school half-time or more is there. But if any of those other requirements apply to you, go ahead and click on them. But we're going to continue. And then they ask you, are you unable to work for any of these reasons? So that's just a little neat information there. We're going to click none of the above and then continue. So this is what I was mentioning earlier about the documents. So once you complete the majority of your CalFresh application, they will tell you what you need, such as ID, pay stub from the last 30 days. I like to recommend to students too, if you can, submit your 3 most frequent pay stubs to show that your income is consistent over time. And then also proof of housing expenses. It says recommended but not required, but that can help you submit your, or earn more in CalFresh benefits, and then a copy of your financial aid award letter and a copy of your class schedule. Like it says, submit as much proof as you can before your interview to reduce the back and forth during the application process. Because like I said, after your phone interview, they may tell you, hey, you forgot to submit your class schedule and your financial aid award letter. Then, it will take a few business days for the caseworker to look at it, and it can prolong your waiting period for CalFresh benefits. So since we are doing a demonstration, we are going to submit proof later. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to register to vote? So we can say, this is totally up to the student, but we can say, no, I'm already registered. We're really excited to vote. The election is coming up. And then now this is where you can exit the screen, but we won't. But it says your CalFresh application has been successfully submitted. So there again, they're kind of walking you through the steps of the CalFresh application process, where the county may call you from a block and again, an unlisted phone number, and they'll send you a letter in the mail to let you know if you qualify. So like I said, check your mail, answer the call from the blocked phone number, especially within those time preferences you gave. And then like it says, you can upload your documents at that link there. They also send you an email, and they also ask you, how was your experience with CalFresh? So there's that little smiley face there. So we are not done with our presentation yet, but I'm going to take a minute to pause here to see if anybody had questions regarding the demonstration. If not, I will be answering questions at the end, but I just wanted to give a brief pause here for any questions we received.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When it asks you during the application process about your money on hand and stuff, do we actually have to put the correct amount? Are they gonna look into my account?
So I recommend always being honest on the application and providing as much and accurate information as possible. So I don't believe the county will ask to verify, but it is always good to be honest on the application, because you are, like we saw earlier, you are legally agreeing that you have been as honest as possible. So just to honor that.
That's kind of if I tell them a certain amount, will they not give me the EBT, the CalFresh? Because I mean, I am good at saving, so I mean, it can look like, I don't know. I just don't want them to think that I have all this money, because I really don't. I'm good at saving.
Right. So what I always tell students too is even if they have a lot of money in their savings account, to include it because it doesn't affect you receiving CalFresh whatsoever. So um, again, that question is only for expedited benefits. So that question won't prevent you from getting CalFresh. It's just to see if you're going to get CalFresh benefits within 3 to 5 days.
Mm,
Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question.
yes, it did.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I see another question too. If you are 22 years old and living with your parents, do you need to include them? It says under 22. I believe you still have to include your parents, but I will double check on that one. I don't want to give out false information. Again, my contact information will be at the end of this presentation. So um, you can send me a quick email and then I will look into that as well. I'm just going to pause for any other questions. If not, we can go ahead and move forward. Thank you for your questions, though. I appreciate that. So we're going to do another short Zoom poll just to give us a little feedback on how we did today. And then, so this question is, I understand the CalFresh application process. So we have strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So we won't be sharing the results of this poll, but this is just for us to make future improvements again. So and then our second question is, if I encounter issues with completing my CalFresh application, I know how to request virtual application assistance through Tuffy's Basic Needs. Just as a quick reminder, that was the filling out the basic needs services request form. So you can click one of your options there, strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree. And then, like I said, we will not be sharing the results of this poll, so we'll just give you all a few more seconds for that. Alrighty, thank you for filling out that Zoom polls, all the Zoom polls that we had during our presentation. But again, these are some links and resources. So we have our Dean of Students office, the demo CalFresh application. There's also a farmer's market finder, which I didn't show in this presentation, but it's really similar to the SNAP retailer locator. So I recommend if you are interested in purchasing healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables that are locally grown, I recommend that resource. We are also partnered with Second Harvest Food Bank of Orange County, so I put their website there. And then there's more information on student eligibility requirements and also our Tuffy's Basic Needs Services request form. And then if you live in other counties too, there is LA County Regional Food Bank, and for Riverside and San Bernardino County, there is the Inland Empire Food Bank as well. So we can go ahead and move to the next slide. Thank you so much. And then here's our contact information. Again, you can, oops, I will put my email in the chat because I put the incorrect email on there, but it is zz-javentura@fullerton.edu. But you can also email us at our basic needs at Fullerton email address. And also Victoria Ajamian is our Basic Needs Center coordinator. So I just wanted to give our contact information there. And then I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you all for joining us today. And you can follow us on our Instagram and our Dean of Students. So we'll show that on the next slide. So Basic Needs CSUF is our Instagram handle, and we post upcoming workshops, webinars, resources for students, and also our Dean of Students office as well, because we are part of the Dean of Students. So thank you so much, everyone. And then if you have questions, again, please submit them through to Tuffy's Basic Needs, and then we can go ahead and try to have them answered.
Thank you, Jared, for that informational presentation. I do have some questions that were submitted anonymously in the chat. So one of the questions is, can I get CalFresh if I'm not working?
Yes. So if you're not working, you can get CalFresh. So, like I said, you can fill out that basic needs services request form, and then hopefully we'll get you set up with CalFresh virtual applications assistance with me.
Thank you. The next question is, can my children get CalFresh even if I don't have immigration documents?
Yeah, so your children may be eligible even if you are not. So you may apply for CalFresh for your children born in the US or if they're permanent residents. If your children are below the ages of 18, you can apply on their behalf. But if they're older than 18, they can apply by themselves.
Okay, and a follow-up to that is, will the county report my immigration status to the immigration authorities?
So no, they will not. The CalFresh is a social service, as I've been repeating throughout the presentation, and they are not required to report any information to immigration authorities or ICE.
Okay. All right, and I believe those are all the questions that we have in the chat.
All right.
So yeah, as you mentioned, I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us today on this webinar. I do want to remind you that this was recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube channel and on our website. Also, don't forget to join us next Thursday at 11 a.m. for our Let's Talk Budgeting webinar, where we'll be talking about how to create a budget that works best for you. And also, I just want to give a quick thank you to Jared for joining us and showing us how to apply for CalFresh. I know this information was greatly beneficial for me, and I hope it was for you too. So thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank you so much.